Hi guys. My name is Pablo Rosero. I'm the lead writer over at Sports Shots. I'm joined by Jordan Artzy
Hello, my name is Jordan Artzy.
and Christian Douglas,
Hello.
and this is our NFL Draft Preview Part One. The NFL Draft is on April 27th through April 29th on ESPN or NFL Network, and it is live in Philadelphia. So basically, we're just gonna break down the draft, and the first team on the clock are the Cleveland Browns. What do you guys think they should do with this pick?
What's probably considered maybe a surefire pick. Some experts may disagree, but some may agree. We here at Sports Routes believe that it's Myles Garrett who's going to be the first pick. So I'm going to let Pablo Rosero explain a little bit more about why he thinks it's going to be Myles Garrett will be the first.
So Myles Garrett's the defensive end over at Texas A&M. He tied Reggie White's sack record in the SEC, and so basically he's 6'6", 260 pounds, just an absolute physical freak. 4'6", 40. He gets after the quarterback. He plays every down with a high motor. He's constantly triple teamed, double teamed. So he gets the job done. Even if he's not being double or triple covered, he's getting to the quarterback. And he's always playing high motor, like I just said. And basically, he's a guy you want on your team, no matter who you are, no matter if you already have the position set. He will be a stud next year and 10 years down the road. But there's some dissenting opinions in Cleveland where some people are saying they could go Mitch Trubisky, and we just have to see about that. And then, Christian, tell us what you think about Mitch Trubisky.
About Myles Garrett, well, what you just said,
No, Mitch Trubisky.
oh, I don't personally, I don't like Mr. Trubisky. I think he's coming out way too early. I think he needs a little bit more time. I think there's so much hype with the quarterback class in this year's draft that no one's like looking at the big picture and like what they can do. Like to me personally, like a lot of people rank him like the highest on every draft board when it comes to quarterbacks, but I don't think he should even go near top three picks.
And I have
Do you
something to say
think?
about that too. Oh, sorry.
Go for it.
Okay,
Go for it. Go
so
for it.
So something I've noticed throughout the years of NFL drafts is that usually when you pick a quarterback very early, it's very unpredictable and whether or not the quarterback will excel or not. But if we look at like classic examples like RG3, he performed amazingly in his rookie season, but unexpected turns led him to injuries, and now he's playing for the Cleveland Browns. But that's not the point. It's just that many quarterbacks, Christian Hackenberg, many other quarterbacks, they've just been it's just unpredictable to see where they go. And I think Mitch Trubisky is the same, except he does have a bit more of an edge compared to the other quarterbacks. But it's unpredictable with these guys. If you want, you have to go with the surefire pick of Myles Garrett. It's something you haven't seen since Jadeveon Clowney. Just a big guy willing to go after the quarterback, and that's why I think he should be the first pick compared to Mitch Trubisky. Excuse me.
First of all, RG3 was recently cut by
Yeah,
the
I
Browns after
honestly,
acquiring Brock Osweiler,
Oh, that's my
and
fault. I'm sorry.
you good. And Trubinsky, he's probably the most pro-ready quarterback in the sense that the style he plays in. But I think you have to look more towards Deshaun Watson, who's just an intelligent young man who plays extremely well. He demolished Alabama in both of the national championship games, even though they only won one. And so Cleveland should definitely just wait on a quarterback with their second first rounder. And yeah,
yeah, I like to add to that. When people rank it, I think Deshaun Watson is like one of the best quarterbacks in this draft. And when people talk about him dipping to like the late first, like second round, it's like what are you doing? Like if you have Mr. Trubisky ahead of Deshaun Watson, like I don't get what the like thought process of that is. Like to me, like I think like Deshaun Watson and Deshaun Kaiser are like the two best quarterbacks in this draft class. And like I don't even know what to do like with Patrick Mahomes. like he's like I have no idea where he'll land in this draft.
All right, but let's stick more to the first pick. But I think we kind of all agree that Miles Garrett should be the surefire first pick in this draft. So let's move on to the second pick by the San Francisco 49ers. Um, I have Jonathan Allen or what's his name, Malik Hooker. I'm kind of in between on that. Pablo, you want to add to that?
Well, basically, San Francisco is coming off a complete culture change after hiring the Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan, who led that Atlanta offense to a record-breaking season, even though they lost in the Super Bowl. I think San Francisco, who during John Harbaugh had an incredible defense by with Navarro Bowman, Patrick Willis. I think that just there you have to look at a kid from the West Coast, such as Solomon Thomas, who's amazing. You can even look at Alabama middle linebacker Reuben Foster. And it's just a team that either they could trade out to get more picks because they need depth, or they can just stay put and take talent, and it'll help them no matter what.
Um, when you're talking about the 49ers, I think I know a lot of people are going with D end in the situation they have with the second pick, but I think Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner are honestly good enough. I mean, I don't think I I don't see another D end like being any different in this draft in the system. I think I like their linebackers too, so I'm not going with Reuben Foster. I think Malik Hooker is the best pick they can pick at number two. But again, I think a better option if they can have like a good offer was to trade down because I think I mean Malik Hooker's good, but I think what Pablo said they need more depth, and I don't think one safety with the second pick, is going to make a big difference in their defense. So yeah, that's what I got.
No, yeah, definitely not. Um, Basically, San Francisco could even look at Marshawn Lattimore out of Ohio State University because of recently releasing Tremaine Brock because of an arrest. So we'll just see what they do there. But let's move on to the third overall pick, which is held by the Chicago Bears. Jordan, you want
So
to take that?
yeah, I'll lead off. Something that maybe I might agree with is maybe they take Marshawn Lattimore if he's not already taken, or in the sense Jonathan Allen. I think Jonathan Allen is still one of the best, probably top five prospects in the draft. But they do need help on that defense. The Chicago Bears, I believe they went 3-13 or 4-12, something like that. It was something in their defense as well as maybe even a quarterback for Chicago, just because of the fact that Jay Cutler is simply not doing it for did not do it for them anymore. But Pablo, you want to bring in something?
I mean, Chicago. I think Chicago is a team that could definitely wait for a quarterback either later in late rounds, or they could go quarterback in 2018, which is a much stronger quarterback class, as I've stated before. Um, I think definitely if you have Solomon Thomas on the board, even a Jamal Adams, you have to pull the trigger on one of these prospects. They're game changers. You need a game changer on defense. This is an offensive league now, so you need playmakers and game changers on your defense. And you just have to stop quarterbacks when you have an Aaron Rodgers, a Sam Bradford, and a Matthew Stafford in your division.
Yeah, with this pick, I like them here. I don't think they're going to take anything on offense, obviously, even with them losing Alshon Jeffrey, I don't think they'll take anything on offense. I think it's either I would like a D end with this pick, like what Pablo said, they need to chase after these quarterbacks. And I think in this draft, other than Miles Garrett, Solomon Thomas is the best defensive end prospect around other than Miles Garrett. I think he's like a freak. So I think they'd go with him.
The one thing I like about Solomon Thomas is that, like an Aaron Donald, he's an undersized guy, who can change the game from the nose tackle position or the defensive tackle position. And there were moments at Stanford where he shifted out at defensive end. So he plays with a very high motor and he gets after the quarterback. And that's what you need in this league. Pass rushers, while there are many, it's hard to find the elite ones. And if you can get an elite one in the draft, you have to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I know all these DNs are, athletic, obviously, but I think he adds Solomon Thomas is a good prospect, but I think he's too stiff when with his movements. I think he's very not basic, but like there's no real versatility like Solomon Thomas. I think Solomon Thomas is so fast and gets so quick off the edge that it's just like it adds like a whole new like dimension to his game. So yeah, that's my pick.
All right. All right. So fourth overall pick is held by the Jacksonville Jaguars, who coming off of a 3-13 season, won free agency once again, signing cornerback AJ Bouye and defensive end Calais Campbell. But once again, they find themselves in the top 5 of the draft, and we see this team with quarterback Blake Bortles. It could be a make it or break it season for him, and the defense looks primed to compete. Their first rounder last year, Jalen Ramsey out of Florida State University, performed at a Pro Bowl level. He unfortunately did not make it to the Pro Bowl, but he could have definitely gone in. And we see their offense headlined by the Allen brothers, Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns, and we could see Jacksonville taking a running back here in the top one in Leonard Fournette, who a bunch of people say he could be the next Adrian Peterson.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with what Pablo says. Um, when he talks about comparing Leonard Fournette to Adrian Peterson, you can definitely see it, but there are some things that you can see differently between the two. Definitely, I think Leonard is a more he's not as developed yet in his game, obviously, since he's only going to be a rookie if he gets drafted. But definitely, you can see some strong comparisons between Adrian Peterson and Leonard Fournette. Definitely in the just simply in the run. I'm sorry, in the pass blocking as well. You can see a little bit of comparisons. But Christian, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think they kill it every year in free agency. So I mean, the only concern I'd have at running back is that I mean I don't find I love Leonard Fournette. I think he's the best prospect like in running back like in the running back class in this draft. But more teams now are running like their offenses through the shotgun, and I don't believe he's like an Adrian Peterson. And why do you think Adrian Peterson hasn't been picked up yet? Not just because he's old. It's because he there's some backs that can do it through the shotgun, like what they have now, T.J. Yeldon, and then they have people who can't, like Leonard Fournette. And while yes, Leonard Fournette's a power back and he's great at that, I think who they picked up, Chris Ivory, is a great power back in this league, and he's proven to be a goal line beast. So I mean, I don't find any other hole in their roster that I can fill up. But I mean, yeah, I guess Leonard Fournette would be the best pick in this for them this year.
I mean,
So,
for
oh,
Blake Bortles, you need a person who can block in the backfield. They signed Chris Ivory last year, and they drafted T.J. Yeldon 2 years before, and neither really panned out as they would hope. With T.J. Yeldon though, and even Chris Ivory, you have two running backs who can come out of the backfield and catch, something that Leonard Fournette has not fully developed. And we'll just see. Jordan, you have something to add?
yeah. So, something I wanted to add was that is this. I have a question for both of you. Well, first I'm going to ask Pablo. Do you think it's more of a make it or break it season for the Jacksonville Jaguars or Blake Bortles with this pick? Do you think it'll be a game changer for the AFC South with the addition of Leonard Fournette if they do go ahead and take him?
I'll answer the first question. Christian will answer the second. I think for Blake Bortles more than the entire Jacksonville Jaguars, I think the coaching staff actually also. Blake Bortles is make it or break it with such a strong 2018 quarterback class. It's guys you can't pass on. And then the coaching staff, obviously 3-13, then 4-12 the year before, and it's just hard not to see that something. Either there has to be a culture change, like there just was in San Francisco, or you just have to find a way to change the whole dynamic of the team. And they brought along Tom Coughlin, the two-time Super Bowl winning head coach. He was the first ever Jacksonville Jaguar head coach, led them to a playoff appearance or a couple playoff appearances. And yeah, you just have to find a way to either change the culture of the team or find the players. In this case, Blake Bortles, motivate him or find someone else who can do the job.
Yeah. With the second question, I think Leonard Fournette will. I mean, with the impact in the AFC South, I mean, the only real strong defense in the AFC South is Jacksonville with the free agency and Houston. So I mean, Leonard Fournette with the passing attack that they have in Jacksonville, I think he'll do great because I think he'll take pressure off Blake Bortles, and I think there's other than Houston, there's not a strong defense in this division. So I mean, yeah, I think he'll do great. To be honest, I think he'll be a great running back. But again, I have questions about how he can catch out the backfield because yeah, every running back can catch a screen or maybe a little like bubble, but let's see how he can do. I think to be real right now, I think T.J. Yeldon is perfect for them because he can catch just like any other back. He's a really good catching back, and I think he's great on the run. I mean, fast, strong. I mean, I don't know why they need Leonard Fournette, but yeah, I think he'll do great in the AFC South. I'm done.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next pick in the draft. I believe it is occupied by the Tennessee Titans. So, a pick that I have going for this is the safety Jamal Adams. I think he'll go here because he's not obviously a top 5 prospect, but he's definitely in the top 15. He's definitely someone that could be a playmaker. And also something that you notice is that a lot of these players come out of LSU. LSU is becoming a very big powerhouse for football, and while it always has been, I think it's starting to make a bigger impact with very good players. So, Pablo, you want to add to that?
Basically the Tennessee Titans, who I think are on pace to making the playoffs this year. I think last season went out with a bang. Obviously, Marcus Mariota went down, which was bad, but they showed a lot of progress and improvement. And I think here we could see Jamal Adams if he's still on the board. Maybe even a Mike Williams because they do need help at wide receiver, but they could also wait for that with the 18th overall pick. And basically, we're just looking at Tennessee and saying you have two first rounders, you have an amazing offensive line, a great run game, a solid young quarterback. Your defense held its own last year, and just how are you going to improve with the draft? They made some moves in free agency. They signed Patriots quarterback. The name escapes me right now, and
It's Logan
we'll just see
Ryan.
what they. Thank you. They signed Logan Ryan, who was a major part in the Patriots Super Bowl run, and yeah, we'll just see what they do.
Yeah. With this pick with the Titans, I like a safety. Like I think we both said, we all agree. But I don't find the safety being Jamal Adams. I think it should be Malik Hooker because with this defense, I think the more playmakers, the better. And to me, I think there's no better playmaker at safety than Malik Hooker. I think his ball skill and what he brings to the table, like with his picks and just reading the defense, I think it's great. I like Jamal Adams, but I think I take Malik Hooker over him. But I believe that if the 49ers don't trade their pick, they're probably going to go with Jamal Adams because of, all the hype, and he obviously did better in college. But honestly, I think the bigger playmaker between the two is obviously Malik Hooker. It's no question.
Some
What
people
I
have.
believe.
Oh, oh.
Go for it. Go for it. Go,
Okay, I'm
Joy.
gonna. Yeah. So some people have OJ Howard being picked as this fifth pick by in the draft. What do you guys think about a tight end being picked fifth in the draft? That really doesn't happen so often.
He's OJ Howard's crazy. I mean, like just how fast he is, and we've obviously seen like this is a good tight end class, by the way, with David Njoku. I think that's his name. But OJ Howard, I don't think it's his receiving that like intrigues me the most. I think it's that he's so good at receiving and blocking, and that he went crazy in the combine with, I think his 40 was 4.51. I think 4.51.
I think
Yeah,
That's
he had
just
a really
crazy.
good 40.
Yeah, it's crazy. And he didn't get that many receptions in college, and to do so much in such little receptions, that's imagine what he can do when he gets a real workload.
I agree.
Yeah, it'd be
I
crazy.
think that here, while tight end, like Christian said, it's a very good tight end class, and like I said, they have 2 first rounders, so you can look at a tight end later on. I think here you look more at defense, that defensive backfield. Uh, you could go a Jamal Adams, a Malik Hooker if they're available, or even a Marshawn Lattimore if he's still available. He's a game changer as well. And we'll just see what Tennessee does here. They could move back. They have that type of flexibility. Also, we know that they like trading their pick and bringing on more depth. They've done it before. And they've been hitting on their first rounders in recent years, Jake Conklin, Marcus Mariota. And Tennessee knows what they like, and whoever they bring along will do something for them.
Yeah,
I believe that no matter what they do, they're gonna hit on this pick.
yeah. Trading down, I think they should get a receiver because, I mean, just look at the receivers. There's nothing to go crazy about. But, I mean, I don't think right now they need a big receiver, like a big named receiver, because I think what they run, it's more like a dink and dunk, like maybe one or two long balls to Rashad Matthews or to somebody like that. I don't think they really need a receiver, but I think Malik Hooker would be perfect in this defense. Like Pablo, who do you think's a better prospect in this draft, Jamal Adams or Malik Hooker? That's the question.
When you talk about Jamal Adams and Malik Hooker, the conversation that arises in my mind would be the comparison between Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed, where you have two game breakers who do completely different things. Ed Reed was more of the ball hawk. Troy Polamalu was more of in the box hitter. And I've stated this before. Jamal Adams is obviously the hitter. Malik Hooker is the ball hawk. You need both of those types of plays in today's league. You can't really go wrong with either. I think it'll be more of a scheme fit in the end of which one does better, but I think both are amazing draft prospects, and you can't pass on them.
Yeah, I understand, but I just feel like in today's NFL, I think it's not. I think the big hitter, not the big hitter, has like gone extinct. But I think it's more important to be a ball hawk than to be a big hitter because if you line up, I don't think Jamal Adams' hit power will translate to the NFL. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it will work out in the NFL. I don't think he has such big hit power. I think he's a good tackler, but I don't think he's a big hitter. I don't think he can really just lay someone out.
Hey, we'll see what happens there.
On
It's
the
a good competition to have somebody. They're both good players to compare each other to. But
Yeah.
let's move on. At number 6, we have the New York Jets, who once again find themselves in the top 10, struggling this year after almost making the playoffs in the 2015-2016 season. Um, they have a hole at quarterback and at wide receiver. Obviously, their defense isn't what it used to be. The Jets have a bunch of holes. Anyone could go here. We could see even Deshaun Watson or Mitch Trubinsky here. Well, what do you guys think in the direction that the Jets should go?
Can I take this one?
Well,
Jordan, you good?
yeah, you can start. I'll
All
go.
right, thanks. I think quarterback would be a horrible idea. Horrible, just terrible for them. Because this chart, this depth chart that I'm looking at right now for the Jets, there's no place for a quarterback to thrive. I mean, I don't think any of these quarterbacks are a change the franchise type of quarterback. I think they're just if it's a good fit, they might do well. I don't think they're crazy prospects. I honestly, they have to get defense. I mean, Christian Hackenberg, everyone sleeps on him. I think he's great. I mean, I think he has a great arm. I mean, if he learns a little bit, maybe he switches off with Bryce Petty. You see a little bit of that there. I think it'll be great. for Christian Hackenberg to start a couple games this year. See what he's like. And like you said earlier, I think they're the draft class for quarterbacks next year will be a lot better than this year. So, I mean, yeah.
All right, so I'll follow that up with a question. If you don't think they're going to take a quarterback, do you think they'll go in the direction of a safety or a wide receiver? Because they definitely need some sort of defensive back, or and like Pablo said, they do have holes in the receiving end, and I believe they also do have holes in the sort of in the offensive line. But the addition of a tight end could help on both perspectives. So, what do you think they would take with that pick?
Um, I mean, I think they should take a corner with this pick because when you look at their team, it's like you said, there's not much to. It's not like it used to be. I mean, who do you really? I mean, their D line is. I mean, if Jonathan Allen's available, you take him. If any of the DNs, like the premier DNs, Solomon Thomas, or I mean, I doubt Myles Garrett, but Solomon Thomas, Jonathan Allen, if those are available, I think other than Jamal Adams and Malik Hooker, which I do think they'll be taken before the Jets pick, I don't think there's another safety that can even come close to those two. I'd take maybe Lattimore if he's not available. Then I don't know. Maybe Reuben Foster would be good here. Reuben Foster would be really good. Sure up the front line. But yeah,
For the Jets, I don't think they should go defensive line. Actually, I heard a rumor that they wanted to trade Sheldon Richardson on draft night. You can see that happen. He's an immense talent who's had off the field issues. But basically, the Jets, I believe that here, this could be moving back, maybe swapping for 6-12, 6-4-12 with Cleveland. Let Cleveland get their quarterback, and then they throw in the first pick in the second round, maybe the first pick in the third round. We'll see what happens there. Because Cleveland does want their quarterback, and I don't think Mitch Trubinsky will be off the board at this time. So we'll just have to see what the Jets decide to do because they have a lot of holes that they need to fill. They did not do anything in free agency. They gave up a lot more than they got. So we'll just see what they decide to do.
let me add on real quick, just a real quick point. Now that I look at their defense I wasn't really looking at the whole defense. I honestly really like their defense. I know they didn't do really good last year. I know they underachieved, but I like their D line. Is if they trade Sheldon Richardson, maybe it's something off field, but if they trade him, that'll be terrible because he's really good. Leonard Williams is real good. Muhammad Wilkerson's a beast. Darren Lee's good. I think Reuben Foster would be great on this defense. I know they need a cornerback, but I don't really like any of the cornerbacks in this draft. They've just picked up Morris Claiborne. So let's see how he does, and yeah, that's all I had to add on.
All right, so let's head over to the seventh pick in the draft. This is by the Chargers. This is kind of, I wouldn't say upsetting, but I'd say a very surprising issue for them. They did have holes. They were faced with injuries. I wouldn't say Philip Rivers is inconsistent. I do believe he is one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the draft, not in the draft, excuse me, in the NFL. But inconsistencies, just things like that cause them to end up in a very low pick. So, Pablo, who do you think they take with this pick?
San Diego has a very good
Los Angeles.
offense. Los Angeles, thank you. They have a very the Los Angeles Chargers. They have a very good offense. That offensive line has issues, of course, but there's no prospect in this draft no offensive line prospect in this draft that should be taken in the top 10. So you automatically look at defense because this is a very strong defensive class. They franchise tagged Melvin Ingram, who's coming off a career season. And right here, you either look at secondary, obviously, because no matter what team you talk about in the NFL, you always need to get secondary players since it is now a passing league. I mean, you can look at a guy like Garon Conley, see if any of the trio of defensive backs in Adams, Hooker, and Lattimore fall. Jabril Peppers, of course, is an option, even though I don't think many people have him going this early. And then you could also look at a Reuben Foster, a Jonathan Allen, one of those guys. I think Reuben Foster here put him alongside Denzel Perryman would form the hardest hitting duo in the NFL at middle linebacker. It's a good fit. They lost Manti Te'o to the Saints, and it's just a toss up there, which they can really go in any position on defense and tag him along with Joey Bosa, who had a phenomenal rookie season.
Yeah. When I look at this defense, I think of what Pablo just said. If any of the safeties, two big safeties, Jamal Adams, Malik Hooker are available, I think Malik Hooker again would be perfect for this defense. But also, Reuben Foster would be. I mean, the only two. I mean, yeah, there's no O lineman in this draft that you can really take, over these two positions, linebacker and safety. I mean, so with this early pick, if they don't trade down, I think, maybe a Reuben Foster if he's available, or Jamal Adams, or Malik Hooker, those would be perfect.
Yeah, definitely a safety pick. So let's move on actually to the next pick, which I believe is Carolina Panthers.
Carolina at 8.
So many experts have. Oh, sorry, you can talk.
Christian, you are a Panthers fan. What do you think about this?
Thank you for asking. I think with a new addition of Captain Mutterlin, I don't think corner would be that good of an option. We know our linebackers are elite. I mean, there's no addition there. I don't think there's an O lineman high enough to pick in this draft. I think if Leonard Fournette becomes available, I think Leonard Fournette. A lot of people are saying that we go down maybe in the second round, pick up a Kamara or a pass catching back. I don't think that's what we're gonna do because when we use our running backs, we don't use them really catching out the backfield. We use them like down the middle, goal line situations. And I think adding another running back, a premier young running back that can get 20 carries, 25 carries a game, would open up a lot of opportunities for Cam Newton to maybe get out of the pocket because maybe that running back, if it's Leonard Fournette, will divert this attention of because they're with our passing with our rushing attack. It's when you see Jonathan Stewart, he's not a threat. When defenses see him, they don't look at him as a threat when he isn't because he's a little too old, not slow. I mean, he's too slow. He can't really do as much. If you add Leonard Fournette, that would be a whole new dynamic. I think we had a lot of bad luck last year. I think if we had Leonard Fournette, we might make a good run in the playoffs this year.
You think Leonard Fournette will fall down, or do you think they're going to trade up?
I think what the Panthers should do, since we don't really have that many holes on our team. I mean, our D-line is pretty straightforward. It's great. I know we had an off year last year, but what I think we should do is pick, maybe trade down, maybe get an O-lineman in the first round. In the second round, pick up Joe Mixon, which is, I mean, other than the off-field issues, I think he's got to be the second. He's arguably the first or second best running back prospect in this draft, Joe Mixon. So I think a lot of teams are, cutting him off their draft board. Obviously the Patriots took him off their draft board. I think they have a lot of influence in terms of other teams following them. So I think we have a high pick in the second round. I think if he's available in the second round, that'd be a steal if we pick up Joe Mixon.
All right. Yeah, anything to add, Pablo, or are we going to move on?
One sec. I right here think Christian McCaffrey. I know you disagree with me, Christian, but first of all, there's a lot of news that teams view him as a top 10 pick, and he could help Cam Newton a lot in the sense that when he's in trouble, instead of running it out of the pocket and risk getting injured, he can just dump it off to McCaffrey. You also have the option of you still have Jonathan Stewart there, obviously, so McCaffrey won't have to take full running back duties right away. I think it's a solid pick. McCaffrey might actually be the best available player still left at this point, based on what we've been talking about, and I think it's a great pick. He's a game changer. You need game changers in this league. Definitely, a top 3 running back in this class. We'll just see what happens. In my opinion, Carolina can't pass on McCaffrey here.
Yeah. We had a conversation about this outside of the podcast. My I love Christian McCaffrey. I think he's gonna be great in the league, but my one I just don't think he's a great fit for the Panthers because I don't think he's a 20 carry running back per game. I think he's solid with like a lot of people are talking about the Patriots. I know they might not draft him obviously because they don't have a first round pick, but I just don't think he fits in our system. I don't think he's strong enough to go ahead and carry the load for our team, and yeah, I think that's it for the Panthers.
All right, so let's move
Jordan,
on.
what do you think about this pick?
Well, I always thought that they did need a running back in a sense that they need the ball going. When I watched them play, it was just Cam Newton struggling overall. But I think the addition of maybe Dalvin Cook even. I'm big on just running back, like big running backs in general. Just being able to power through, play the downs, and get through the defensive line and give big yardage. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so let's move on to the ninth pick, which is the Bengals. Now, the Bengals were not expected to uh, do as bad as they thought. Maybe, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Uh, this isn't something that usually happens. They're usually a playoff team. They always either beat out the division or come second. But this is just a different take on it. So, what do you guys think about the picks?
I'll let Pablo take this one. Pablo.
Cincinnati, obviously, you have the Red Rocket and Dalton. You have AJ Green, who is one of my favorite wide receivers in the league. But you saw them lose Mohamed Sanu and Marvin Jones. And so they have a whole wide receiver. Obviously, they have Tyler Boyd and Brandon LaFell, but once AJ Green went down this season, you really lost in your entire offense. So we could see them here going Mike Williams, Corey Davis from Western Michigan University, one of those two guys, because their defense is extremely good. There's really no safety you could take here, and they believe in their safeties. The linebackers are good, unless you have a guy like Reuben Foster falling, which I don't think would happen. Even a Hanson Reddick actually could go here. From Temple, blew up during the combine. He's a surefire first rounder, and we'll just see Cincinnati. They need a game changer at wide receiver to pair with AJ Green. I think this pick really goes down to Corey Davis and Mike Williams.
Yeah. At this defense, I like their. I know a lot of people are talking about Reuben Foster. I don't think he'll dip that low. I like their D line, but they can add somebody. But I don't think any of the premier DNs in this draft are going to be available at that. I think, and like you said with the wide receiver, I like a wide receiver here. I like Corey Davis a lot more than Mike Williams because I think the 50-50 ball act in college is a lot easier than in the NFL. I think there's bigger cornerbacks. Honestly, if Marshawn Lattimore dips, I think Lattimore would be a good pickup because there's no real high expectations on this team for him to do real well. They already have Drake Kilpatrick. He's a good cornerback. They also have Ben Wickery, but yeah, I think Marshawn Lattimore may be a wide receiver. If they pick a wide receiver, I think AJ Green's the possession receiver on that team. I think Corey Davis would add a good speed factor on this team. That's what I got.
But yeah, I didn't get to say my pick, but I think maybe Jonathan Allen falls down here, but not entirely sure. But I think many teams like him. He got about 11 sacks, I believe, and when he played at Alabama. But the only thing that teams aren't very happy about is his it's just his height in general. and just but he does have the strength. But he also is not one of the fastest defensive ends. But I do believe that the Bengals need a defensive end in with this pick. So yeah. So
So
yeah.
let's move on. The Buffalo Bills are on the clock at 10. Buffalo, obviously, they fired Rex Ryan. They're moving on to a completely new direction. What do you guys think here? So the Buffalo Bills at 10. They obviously fired Rex Ryan, going in a new direction. What do you guys think they could do with this pick?
Jordan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So maybe I believe they might go. Maybe they might surprise us. This is a bit of a long shot, but maybe they take John Ross. They could use more depth in the wide receiver perspective, but this is just a really, really long take. I think the safer pick would either be a defensive back, maybe Conley or Jamal Adams. But I think I'm going to have to go with John Ross. This is a bit of a stretch pick because I think they do need that versatility and that speed in the direction that they want to head into with their new head coach. You want to add
Yeah.
anything to that, Christian?
Yeah. I think with them now securing Tyrod Taylor, I believe, yeah, John Ross would be a good fit. I mean, if any of, obviously, if I don't like Mike Williams with this pick, I think if Corey Davis or John Ross is available, you pick one of those. I'm trying to think of their second round because what pick do they have in the second round? Can someone remind me? I think it's the
Uh,
42nd.
yeah, it's the 12th pick in the second round. I think they could wait on receiver because I think Sammy Watkins is just great. I think he's a good receiver in this league. I think they wait second round, maybe pick a D.D. Westbrook, a Juju McCluster, someone like that. Add some speed to the team. I don't think they have to go too high with receiver. I think they should pick maybe I mean they lost Stephon Gilmore, so I think maybe cornerback, maybe Wilson or somebody, another receiver other than, I don't think Marshawn Lattimore is going to dip that low. If he does, obviously you take him, but maybe the second cornerback goes here for the Buffalo Bills.
all right. You have anything to add, Pablo?
Um, like you said, I really like Conley here after losing Stephon Gilmore to the Patriots. You really don't. Buffalo's a team that thrives on defense. Obviously, their run game was phenomenal last year, ranking second in the league. LaShawn McCoy, always a trusty back. Definitely, I think Deron Conley is the move here. They need to shore up that defense somehow playing against the Patriots who just acquired Brandon Cooks. You have Jarvis Landry in that division also. I think that's the move.
Yeah, and maybe another cornerback is definitely the pick they should go with here.
Yeah, I might have to agree. It definitely has to be a quarterback or safety. Just like you said, there's some very good wide receivers in the AFC East. You have Jarvis Landry, obviously. You have what do you call it? You have upcoming receivers. What do you call it? Excuse me, but you also have I forgot his name, the wide receiver from the Patriots, Julian Edelman. Excuse me. Very good. You definitely need to stop those players. These are some key players that can be stopped with Garon Conley, like you said, Pablo. Definitely a good addition to this to the Buffalo Bills. So let's move on to the Saints. The Saints, I also have a feeling that they might take it back. If, like you said, if Garon Conley is taken, then I guess they'll go Adams. Vice versa, if Jamal Adams is taken, then I think Garon Conley will be taken. Your take on that, Christian?
With the Buffalo pick?
Yeah. No, excuse me.
Yeah.
We're on to the Saints.
Yeah, okay. The Saints. I mean, yeah, I honestly think their defense is improving. Um, but yeah, they have to go clearly defense. I mean, let's see. I think, yeah, definitely a secondary or maybe even a linebacker would be good in this pick. I think a linebacker would be perfect in this pick because they just picked. They drafted Von Bell. Their safeties are great. Von Bell and Kenny Vaccaro. I think they're great talents. I think the cornerback. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Brooks, I have no idea how to pronounce his last name. Brooks, whatever. He's good. He's a good talent. I think honestly, linebacker would be good here or a D end, and I like Taco Charlton. Maybe maybe a Hassan Reddick. I don't think T.J. Watt. Maybe because I mean
No, I don't
he'll
think
like
TJ
dip.
Watt goes up. Yeah, yeah. TJ
Yeah,
Watt
I
will.
think yeah, I think they could pick up T.J. Watt maybe with the last pick that they got from the Patriots. Maybe
Right.
pick up a T.J. Watt. If he doesn't work out, move him like his brother, move him to D end, and see how it goes. I think, yeah, maybe if any of the cornerbacks are available, a good linebacker like Hassan Reddick, that'd be great for this team.
Interesting
I
take.
think one guy that we probably forgot, which obviously is our fault, who is the defensive end out of Tennessee, Derek Barnett, who I have ranked 10th in my top 10 NFL draft preview, which is on sportsdrafts.com. Um, Obviously, he could definitely go here. The Saints need someone to pair up with uh, Cameron Jordan. And also that division, I mean, you have quarterbacks in Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, and Jameis Winston who can get out of the pocket. So you need a guy with a high motor. Derek Barnett, he participated in, I think, all the drills except the 40 at the combine, even though he had a flu. So you can't question his toughness and his will to get it done.
Yeah.
But
Add on that. Oh, sorry, my bad. You go.
okay, go. You go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I totally forgot about Derek Barnett. He completely slipped out of my mind. I think Derek Barnett would be the perfect pick if he dips this low. If he doesn't, obviously you pick maybe a Taco Charlton, but Derek Barnett, clearly if he's available, you pick him because, I mean, their linebackers are pretty good. They have AJ Klein. AJ Klein. Matai Teo, I think, is great. I think he was a great pickup. And yeah, I think if they add a Derek Barnett, it'd be a nightmare for quarterbacks in the division.
All right, let's move on to 12, which I would say, speaking for all of us, I think we would all agree, 12 Cleveland Browns, which they acquired from the Philadelphia, no, from the Philadelphia Eagles in the Carson Wentz trade. I mean, Mitch Trubinsky right here. None of us see him going to another team at this point. If they pass on him with the first overall pick, which we all hope they do, obviously. Mitch Trubisky here, it's the guy they want. It's the player that they see changing their franchise. He's a hometown kid. He wants to play for Cleveland, and that's something hard to come by people who want to play for Cleveland. So I think that's the pick because that's who they want.
Yeah. With this pick, I'm not going with Trubisky. I don't buy in on him. I think they either take someone we haven't talked about in this pod, OJ Howard, or they take a Deshaun Watson. I think they could they could wait on a tight end. I know OJ Howard's a great talent, but I mean the way they use him might not be the best. So I think they take a Deshaun Watson, and with their first pick in the second round, they pick up David Njoku if he's available. Maybe whatever tight end's available. One of those.
But yeah, I definitely
Jordan,
have to go with what Pablo said. Like, if you can find someone who wants to play for the Cleveland Browns, that's great because it's truly something hard to come by. I think the last person I remember, it's Brian Hoyer. He was a Cleveland guy. He loved playing for the Browns, but it's great that you can find someone else that wants to play for the Browns, and the fact that you can have Mitch fall this far and still be able to take him, I think it's very important for this draft. But they cannot pass on Miles Garrett. They need Miles Garrett just because of the fact of how he is. And I'm not someone who says best available, best available, best available. I always say go for team needs, but you should definitely take Miles Garrett in this sense because it's something that won't happen maybe in the next 5 to 10 years. Someone that of that and that versatility.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But I mean, I see where you guys are coming from. Yeah, he wants to play, but it's not who wants to play; it's who can play. And I think Deshaun Watson, if Hugh Jackson can get a good strong system around him, maybe add a couple more pieces in the second round. I think honestly, Deshaun Watson is the best prospect in this draft at quarterback. I mean, he's just great. I think he can. He's a winner, and I think he'll bring a winning attitude to this team. I think also they can go with OJ Howard just as likely. I mean, he's great, but I mean, I tight end is kind of like an iffy. Not really a lot of tight ends, do really good their first year. So I don't know. We'll have to see what they pick. Honestly, this pick for the Cleveland Browns can go either way.
All right, so let's move
Yeah.
on.
Oh,
Bears and the Cardinals at 13. Here is where I think Deshaun Watson could go because Watson needs a year to develop. Carson Palmer, he has about a year or two left. I think it's a solid pick. Uh, yeah, your take
I'm
on it,
sorry.
guys.
Can you repeat what you had? Excuse me.
Deshaun Watson here.
Deshaun Watson. No, I if John Ross does not fall, I'd still think that they take John Ross because you need someone to fall back on, in the sense of, oh yeah, actually, I will agree with the fact that Carson Palmer isn't what he used to be. He's not going to perform at the playoff level, the playoff caliber, and it's always good to have someone to lead behind. What do you call it? To lead behind, but so maybe take a quarterback. And then also, I think they need John Ross because Larry Fitzgerald, it's hard to believe, but he is getting older. But you're going to need someone to back it up. And I think the addition of John Ross would be probably one of the best additions. Maybe even Mike Williams would be a great addition to this team. But they definitely, like I said, they need youth in their receiver group. It is getting a bit older, especially with Larry Fitzgerald. I think he's approaching 37, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to lead it over back to Christian.
Yeah. With this pick, I think they do take a wide receiver. I have Corey Davis going here. I mean, if he dips below this, I think it'll be perfect. Larry Fitzgerald and Carson. Yeah, they are getting old. Carson Palmer and Fitzgerald. I think they're gonna make their last run this year, and then I think they might both retire next year. I believe they pick up a quarterback next year, and pick up Corey Davis because, yeah, Larry Fitzgerald's going to retire, but I think if Corey Davis were to go to Arizona, I think he could maybe learn under Larry Fitzgerald as a wide receiver too. I mean, they're both the same player basically. Great after the catch, spectacular catches everywhere. They're both 6'3", great route runners. I think he can learn a lot from Larry Fitzgerald, and I think by next year they won't miss a beat in the wide receiver department. And I think Corey Davis will take up Fitzgerald's role perfectly.
All right, so let's move on to 14, which is the Philadelphia Eagles, which they acquired from the Minnesota Vikings in the Sam Bradford trade. I have John Ross III falling here. They signed Alshon Jeffries this offseason. They have Jordan Matthews, and I think they need a speedy slot receiver who's a game changer for Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I think they're banking really hard on Carson Wentz. I think they're adding all these new weapons for Carson Wentz to, because they really believe in Carson Wentz. I think last year he showed that he can really lead the team, and I mean he didn't really have a lot at running back, so I'm still banking on a wide receiver for this pick. I think John Ross would be perfect. I can't see another speed receiver on that team that can change the game like John Ross can on the next level.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with that as well. So let's head over to the 14th pick, I believe. We are. Oh, no. Are we? I'm sorry. Uh, so.
We have Indianapolis Colts 15.
Oh, we're in 15th. Okay, excuse me. Sorry.
All right.
So the I'm just gonna cut that out. All right. So the Indianapolis Colts, we have them taking. I have them taking a defensive end. I think that is something they need, and they did have some great moves in the free agency. but definitely taking Takaris McKinley would probably be their best addition to the team, just because it's one of the things that they definitely need, but they could definitely add more depth into that position. So your take on that?
Pablo.
If I'm being quite
All right, I'll
honest,
take it from here. Oh, go.
Christian, hold up. If I'm being quite honest, Jordan, we talked about this pick before, and you're saying to Harris McKinley now, but before you said Hanson Reddick from Temple, and that's the pick that I agree with the most. They made a lot of moves on their defense during the offseason, and I think Hanson Reddick would be the perfect player here. They signed Jabal Sheard from the Patriots, so I think McKinney wouldn't really be the best pick. I think Reddick filling up those linebackers. The Colts, my bad, have had a hole at linebacker for years now. I think this kid is a special talent that you cannot pass on.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It's either Tack McKinley or Hassan Reddick. I think Hassan Reddick would be perfect. I think he's a better talent than McKinley. I think in this draft, a lot of hype is going into the picks and not a lot of talent analysis. I think Hassan Reddick is a better talent than Tack McKinley. They're both great, but I mean, if I had to choose Tack McKinley or Hassan Reddick, I'd pick Hassan Reddick with this pick.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to kind of agree with in that sense, like Hassan Reddick versus Takaris McKinley. It's all definitely what it comes down to on draft night, whether they take the defensive end or the linebacker. But yeah, like I said, definitely great free agency moves, but it's always good to add that more depth into the what do you call it,
Yeah.
into the defensive line and the defensive front. So I'm gonna add. This is gonna be our last pick of this episode. It's going to be by the Ravens, the 16th pick by the Baltimore Ravens 16th pick. I think maybe they go Hassan Reddick also. If he falls, like I said, it depends. This is a very strong defensive class. So definitely it's no surprise that there could be a bunch of mix ups in what we see. So what do you call it? What's your take on that?
Um, with this team, I think they lack a big playmaker at receiver. If any of the receivers we named before, Mike Williams, John Ross, Corey Davis are available, I think you take one of them. With this team, I don't. I like this. I like this team's chart. It's not young per se, but they can get the job done. I think DJ Mosley's great. I think their linebackers are pretty straightforward. I don't think they really need anything on the linebacker position. Maybe they could pick someone up in the second round. I think their line needs some work. I think Brandon Williams, you know, to he's really carrying that team. I think they need somebody else. They just picked up Tony Jefferson. That was a great pickup. Jimmy Smith is obviously good. I think honestly they pick up a D end, maybe a Taco Charlton if he's available. A receiver maybe if John Ross, Corey Davis, or Mike Williams is available, they pick them. It can go either way, either receiver or D line.
I think
Pablo, your
here you can get Njoku, or if he does fall, which we all doubt, OJ Howard. I think tight end the Ravens need. I don't think Dennis Pitta is a go-to tight end, so I think Njoku would be great here because next to Pitta he could develop for a year, and he's a raw talent, very high ceiling, and he's just an immense presence there. Maybe he needs to fix up his blocking, but I'm sure he can get that done. And then Baltimore just needs to change something. They won the Super Bowl not that long ago, and they would have made the playoffs this year, but we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, to add on that, I honestly, Pablo, I think the last thing they need is a tight end. I mean, Crockett Gilmore when he was playing, he was great. I mean, he's not really that. They're not really athletic, but he can get in the red zone. I think Max Williams is great. I mean, I think tight end is the last thing they need. I think if they pick tight end, it's a waste of a pick. I mean, Max Williams is both Crockett Gilmore and Max Williams are so young, and I mean, Max Williams coming out was as good as a prospect as Njoku. I think he was the number one tight end taken in the class. I think they're not using their tight ends well enough. But yeah, I honestly think if they go any offensive weapon, it's either running back or wide receiver. I don't like Dalvin Cook. I mean, if they pick Dalvin Cook, I don't know. Like, I don't like Dalvin Cook. I think he didn't really, perform that great in the combine. He did average. Honestly, I think they go either D end or wide receiver with this pick.
The one player that I would say needs to be looked at here by Baltimore, because even though they have a very durable secondary, I think Marlon Humphreys out of Alabama, who would be the best available player at this point, he should be looked at. Tremendous talent. When you're a cornerback from Alabama, you produce. So he should be looked at.
Yeah, I I don't think they go with cornerback in this. I think because they already picked up Brandon Carr. They had Tavon Young, which was great last year. I think one of the best corners they had. Obviously they have Jimmy Smith. I think I mean with running back they can't really take a running back because they like depth with the running back. You saw what they did with fullback. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name. But I think they used Danny Woodhead in the same sense they used their fullback last year. I think honestly they have to take a wide receiver. I mean, I'd like a possession receiver because they already have someone that can take the top off the defense with Prashad Perriman and Mike Wallace. Sorry. I think DN would be perfect. I mean, if there's a they can go a lot of ways in this draft. I think cornerback and tight end they don't really need anything. I think running back they're okay. Obviously, quarterback they don't need anything. I think wide receiver is something they need to touch on. That and DNs.
All right. So we're gonna wrap it off here. So thank you for listening in on our podcast. Once again, my name is Jordan. I'm joined by Pablo Rosero and Christian Douglas. Come back next time. We're gonna talk about picks 17 through 32 in the first round, and then we're gonna talk about other draft analyses. And we also have our other writers such as Sebastian Kuzak and Santino Capablo, and they'll be talking more about the NBA and other things. So, anything you guys like to add? Let's add in before we sign off. Also,
Yeah,
Andres Rosero and Matthew Thompson, they will be joining in on our podcast as well. We'll have a bunch of writers, a bunch of people joining in.
yeah.
So,
Just keep pounding. Let's go Panthers.
Um,
all right.
Follow us on Instagram at Sports Routes, on Twitter at Sports Routes One, and come read our articles www.sportsroutes.com. Tune in next time.
Goodbye.